Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's executive webinar session of Bimser International. Today, we'll talk about how to manage training operations digitally with the help of QDMS and also Acumatica ERP system. My name is Kevin Devecioglu, and I'm the Managing Director of Bimser International. Today, I have my colleagues with me. I have Alex Kvartirov, my colleague from MRAS Consulting. Alex is a certified ISO 9001 auditor, so lead auditor, and he'll be talking about fundamentals of training management. After Alex, we'll hand it over to Sam. Sam is our pre-sales software engineer at Bimser International, and he'll be talking about QDMS and Acumatica and how you can manage your training operations in manufacturing industry with both systems, with QDMS software and Acumatica ERP software. And we have our product manager, Furkan Bas, with us, and he'll be with us during Q&A session as we continue our executive webinar session. So as a start, I'd like to invite Alex Kvartirov to our virtual stage so that we can learn about fundamentals of training management. Alex, if you are ready, you can take over the screen. I think I need to make you the presenter. Let's do that, and you can.
Yes, I'm ready, Kevin.
Okay, you are the presenter right now. Feel free to share. Okay, we can see your screen. Perfect.
All right.
Looks good. Floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much, Kevin, for inviting me to make this short presentation on training and certainly what ISO requires as far as training management. And today I'll focus training management in the manufacturing industry. Okay, just before I start, I just would like to introduce myself and my company, MRAS Consulting. I personally am a certified ISO 9001 lead auditor, and I'm also the sole proprietor of MRAS Consulting. I've established my company in 2015 after a rather lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company that is certified to the AS 9100 quality standard, which is really the aerospace standard. And what I currently do is I provide consulting services for businesses that are either trying to achieve ISO certification or actually to maintain ISO certification. And it's almost now 3 years ago, I became a Bimser Solutions partner. What happened was I met Kevin and I was introduced to the QDMS tool, and I thought it was a tremendous software tool to help you manage the dealing with ISO, because dealing with ISO requires a lot of data and maintaining data, keeping track of all the documents, information, and I thought QDMS is really the perfect tool to do that. So what I also do is I present webinars and lectures on various ISO topics. All right, so let's. What I want to do here is very briefly introduce the concept of the quality management system, and this is a pictorial view of it, and it's called the Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle, which was developed actually by Deming, who was a quality guru, and he came up with this concept of continuous improvement. Okay, so this really shows very nicely how everything interacts in the quality management system. Now, if you see on the diagram, there are numbers in parentheses, and those numbers refer to the ISO clauses, which are listed on the right-hand side of the screen. So again, I am not going to go into detail about the diagram, but as you can see, it's a continuous improvement coming with feeding the inputs from the left side. Then you go through the planning stage, followed, which is clause 6. Then you go into support and operation, 7 and 8. And then performance evaluation, where you evaluate your product or service and you look for discrepancies, defects, and so on, which is identified in clause 9. And then you look at improvements. How do you improve those? How do you solve those problems? And you then go back to the planning stage. So that you kind of stay in that loop forever. And if you notice that in the middle is leadership, which is clause 5, okay? And obviously leadership must have control of all of the activities within the quality management system. But today, since we're talking about training, and training is really specifically mentioned in clause 7, which is support clause. So let's look at what does ISO, and this really applies to all of the ISOs. There's quite a number of different ISOs depending on what kind of quality management you need to focus on. But in effect, all of the ISOs require you to have some support, okay? And specifically, we're going to talk about training, but what ISO calls that is competence, okay? How do you develop competence in your workforce? And so I've listed here the relevant paragraphs from clause 7 that deal with competence and how to maintain competence. And so there's really 4 major paragraphs. 7.1, as far as resources, the people resources, it really says, well, you should really hire and keep the people, the right people, to implement your QMS and its operation. Then paragraph 7.2 talks about competence, okay? And this is kind of a generic term of what do you do to develop your workforce, okay? So there are subparagraphs in there. First of all, it says maintain essential abilities to control the performance and effectiveness of the QMS. Now you have to monitor and maintain competence, okay, by providing training, education, and we'll talk about on the next slide about what really maintaining competence, what do you do to maintain competence, what it consists of in more detail on the next slide. Okay, then it says take the right action to acquire competence and evaluate its effectiveness. So you kind of always look, and this is part of your continuous improvement, where you provide the necessary training, but then you have to evaluate, is it really working for you or not? And then I highlighted in red paragraph 7.2.d, okay, because here, and I want to emphasize that, it says retain appropriate documented information as evidence of competence. So in other words, what ISO requires you is to keep a record of how you maintain competence in your organization. And I want to digress here for a minute from my own experience while I was employed in the aerospace company. What happened during a surveillance audit? This is a yearly audit when the auditor comes in and checks that you're conforming to ISO. And what happened was he was talking to HR, and he asked to see all the records of the training. And actually, HR didn't have that available right away, so they had to call the various departments to get those records. And some departments had it available immediately. Others, they probably had a hard copy in some file cabinets, so they weren't really ready to provide that information to the auditor. So the auditor said, well, I'm giving you 30 days to fix the problem, or else I'm pulling your certification. So that was, believe me, it was a crisis. And, you know, if the company had a tool like QDMS, this problem wouldn't have happened, because, you know, all that information would be available right there in a central database where everybody would be entering that information into QDMS, and then whoever requests that information, it'd be available immediately. So that is my point, that even though it does not require you to have all that information available electronically, but certainly for a larger organization, it is very important to have that information available in one place and make it immediately accessible to whoever needs to see it. So that's my point on that. Okay, and obviously, just to wrap up about the support, paragraph 7.3 says develop employee awareness of the quality policy and objectives. So everybody has to know what the company's quality policy is and what are the objectives. And of course, 7.4 is to communicate that. And it has to be identified what you communicate, when, with whom, how, and so on. So that's very important that everybody is aware of the requirements of the quality management system. Okay, now what is really, competence and how you develop competence? And it consists of a lot of different maybe training and so on. But I've listed, and certainly it's not an exhaustive list, but certainly it is, give you an idea of what it takes to train people. And also, as I mentioned before, all of that has to be recorded for each employee, the training that he or she receives. Like the first one, I say, is a training imposed by the government and regulatory authorities. And one example here, for example, is in New York State, it is a requirement for all employees to have training in sexual harassment. Okay, so, and it's a yearly refresher training course. So all the employees have to go through it, and obviously you have to have a record that the employees have taken that course. Then it could be that the customer may require some training because you're working or supporting their system. So obviously you may need to get some training about their system. New employee orientation, I think that's very important. And amongst other things, as a new employee, I think he or she has to understand what is expected of them as far as the quality management system in the organization. So that's a good time to introduce the new employee to your QMS principles. Obviously, depending on what kind of skills the employee needs, so you need to provide targeted training so you can improve the employee skills. Refresher training on the QMS and the quality policy and the procedures, because they may change as you evolve, and obviously you should be, as part of your continuous improvement, you should modify or improve your quality policy. So if it does happen, then obviously the employees must be aware of it. Any external seminars or webinars to enhance employee competence. Okay, so if that happens, that should be recorded. Employee certification, if they go for a certain certificate, well, obviously that's very important for their career, and it should be noted so in company records. Outside courses taken in a college environment, whether they're for a degree or just for credit, that should be another part of competence. If the employee came from another organization and where he acquired a very relevant work experience that you wanted to capture, that'd be a good place to do that. And finally, well, sometimes you have to provide remedial training because the employee did not perform adequately or has failed to meet the requirements. So you may have to provide some remedial training. So this is really not an exhaustive list, but certainly a lot of the training that needs to be given to the employees, and also obviously kept a record. So finally, what I want to mention as a conclusion to my presentation is, dealing with, in general, with QMS is a very challenging proposition. And unfortunately, with COVID, it's become even, more difficult. And why? Well, because now a number of employees are required to work remotely. And, you may say, well, pandemic is sort of, thank God, is coming to an end, hopefully, certainly maybe during the year. But I hear that a lot of the organizations would still like to maintain the remote work because certainly it has a lot of advantages because of doesn't need, you don't need to have commuting time to work. However, if you work it remotely, you still need a virtual access to all of the QMS data, which is all the QMS documents and all the records that QMS generates. So you need to have access, virtual access to all of that, as well as audits. Now, audits traditionally were done on site, but now with the proper tools, audits could be done virtually, in other words, remotely. However, you need a tool, and certainly the QDMS tool would certainly give you the capability to perform virtual audits. And as I mentioned before, the remote workforce will likely continue to some extent, and I think it has some advantages. But again, as a final conclusion and a final takeaway is that a software tool is really highly recommended in this kind of environment. And certainly QDMS gives you all the capabilities to do that. And I think Sam will give you some very specific examples of how the tool works. And on this, I would like to pass on my presentation over to Kevin, and thank you very much for joining this webinar.
Alex, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Let me take over the screen and we can continue our executive webinar session. Okay, perfect. Well, as we learned from Alex about training, there are different ways to train our employees, of building our competence, as Alex mentioned, based on ISO. And that is critical for continuous improvement. That is why we need tools such as QDMS to manage training operations digitally in this digital age. And just like Alex mentioned earlier, nowadays, due to COVID, many companies working remotely or in a hybrid format. And that even makes it more important for software systems to be in use for organizations, such as QDMS, for instance. So moving forward, we'll have a show and tell session. During this session, we'll talk about QDMS. As I mentioned earlier, QDMS is our quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. As Bimser International, we have been developing QDMS since 1998, so that's a very mature system. There are more than 1,000 corporate companies, corporate clients using QDMS for many, many years. And there are more than 1 million professional users of QDMS using QDMS on daily basis for compliance purposes, including training management. QDMS has very reputable companies, as I listed on the slide, as references, and there are of course many more. And that is a solid, reliable, and trusted by many reputable companies, organizations, and institutions. Having said that, let's talk about QDMS. Let's show you QDMS and tell you about QDMS. For that purpose, I like to invite my colleague Sam Watt, pre-sales software engineer at Bimser International, and Sam will be showing you QDMS on a high level, and then he'll be also showing you training management module of QDMS, and then we'll discuss how to manage training operations digitally moving forward. Sam, if you are ready, please take over the screen, and then let's start our show and tell session. We can see your screen. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, and thank you, Kevin and Alex, for your presentation. In the following, I will demonstrate to you QDMS, our quality risk audit and compliance management system. And you will learn how our system helps you to manage the training operations and in the scope of complying with ISO standard. As for QDMS, it can work as a standalone, and also our system is certified by Acumatica. Therefore, we have an integration between two systems, Acumatica ERP and also QDMS. We pull the master data from Acumatica ERP and fit our system accordingly. For example, the vendor information, employee information, and also the product, like stock item information. Furthermore, they can work on the same screen. Like I log into my Acumatica ERP demo environment. Also, I can connect to QDMS on the same page of Acumatica ERP pages. On the left, we can still get into the workspaces of Acumatica, and on the right, we can manage QDMS and also the training operations that we have scheduled by using the training management module of our system. So QDMS is a permission-based system. Not everyone can see everything. You will see what you're supposed to do based on the permissions that are granted to your account. Different users have different permissions based on their role, position, profession, department, and group. As I am now logging in as the admin so that I have the full control of the system. And right after I log in, we can find the pending tasks and also the request for approval on this homepage. And we can get a quick connection and start managing this particular request from by opening this widget. So you will see the task that have been assigned to our own account and start managing this particular assignment. On the top left, this is the main menu of our system. And thanks to the modular structure of QDMS, you can pick and choose the modules that you want to have and deploy on your cloud or on-premise server. So based on your requirements or the challenges that you are facing, then you can have the modules that help you to comply with ISO 9001. And today we will focus in the training management module. And by using this module, we can define different training plans. And as for the training plan, it is the goal that we want to achieve. And you will see a list of the planning that I have created in this demo environment. For example, new employee training, PPE training, ISO training, or coding training, for example. And as we have the goal, but as for under this planning, this goal, we might have more than one topic or subject that we have to cover. Then we can create different items under this particular planning. In this PPE training, in order to complete or achieve this goal, we have different subjects or topics that we have to cover. For example, the disposal of the PPE, how to maintain it, and how to use it. We can define 3 different subjects under one planning. And while we are managing the training item, we can also set up the start date, end date, and also the time that we start this training, and also the subject of the training as well. And once those are ready, we can also invite the trainer who is going to be responsible to share his or her knowledge and skill set with the participants. In addition, we can also define if this training is has to be take place periodically, like every year or every 6 months or every week. So we can define it right here by using our system, and the system will generate a notification to the trainer and also the trainee automatically once it is scheduled. Furthermore, we can also attach the document from our local or from our document management module and show a reference document like the training material. It can be a PowerPoint, a video, audio, or just an image, for example, and attach it as a supporting document to the trainer and trainee. And once it is ready, then the trainer, first of all, will receive this particular training schedule in his or her QDMS account. In terms of the notification, you will find one in the QDMS, like what I have just showed you in a minute. You can find them in the home page after you log into the system. And also, you will find a reminder in your email inbox as well. So this is a two-way notification features that we have by using our system in order to make sure you will not miss any important tasks that we have defined it by using our system. And we have this training item ready. We can also invite the participants to this training, meaning who should be show up in this training. In the other words, who will be the trainee. And we can add them from the user list, and those are coming from Acumatica ERP. We can pick and choose the one or to those that we want to have them in this training as a trainee, and then add them into this participant list. Besides, we can also update the attendance list once this particular training is performed. So seeing now we schedule this training, and this training is performed in the company, for example, in our conference room, and then all of them join the training, and the trainer performed this particular course, and then we can update this particular training as who participates in this session. So now the system takes us to another page, and we can mark if this particular trainee shows up in this training, if they participated or not. If they are not, so what will be the reason for that? And the reason for not participation, for example, or let's say on vacation. And then we can update another one, like it show up in this training, or we can update all of them they have participated. So it helps you keep tracking the attendance of different training and make sure the trainee join the training and receive the associated knowledge or skill set that we want them to have in order to have a better performance or continuous improvement in our company. And in QDMS, we manage all your training operations in the scope of record keeping. Therefore, we can also find all the records that we have by running the reporting tool in different QDMS modules. And in this training management module, we can run our report like the summary report based on the training, and also if there's any follow-up action or based on the department as for the attendance report. Furthermore, we can run our graphical report and see like the training timeline. So those will be shown in a list and in a calendar view, like what kind of training that we have scheduled in particular day of this month, or within the time frame that we have set up here in the filters page. So this is how we can manage all the training records that we have by using QDMS. And there is another application that I want to share with you is in the QDMS Extension. And in QDMS Extension, you can manage all those records in action. For example, we create or we assign a training to particular trainees or to a group. And then we want to manage also like the test or exam of those trainees. So by using QDMS Extension, there are two sides that we can configure. First of all is the form side, and the other one is the flow side, like how we want to manage the workflow. For example, we assigned this training to the trainee, and the trainee has to take the exam before we save this into the database. And when they complete the training, we also want to generate a certification to this trainee automatically. And you will see an example in the following. On this form, we can invite the trainee to this schedule, to this training schedule, and we can pick and choose the trainee name from a list of the user. For example, we can pick more than one or the first three, or I just want to have our new employees, for example, Amelia, to join this particular training. And or we just pick and choose, and all the information related to these employees will be shown in this table. And then we can pick and choose the training type, if it is optional, mandatory, and what's that about. And every item in this list, they are configurable, meaning we can add, edit, or delete the item that we can see in this drop down. So for example, it is about food safety. And then we can add our related documents like the training material. It can be a PowerPoint, a video, an audio, or even a Word file. So by using QDMS Extension, there is no limitation to the document format that you upload as a training material. So for example, I am going to the document management module and pick and choose the training material, and I'm going to upload the one as let's say it is a PDF, for example, or we can choose the one as MP4, like video. Okay, there we go. And we can attach it as our supporting document or training material. And you will see the link is available here. And also we can choose if it is a periodic training or not. And once it is ready, then we can send this out to the workflow. And based on the workflow that we have in this demo environment, we will directly send this to the trainee that we have choose in the table. As an admin, I can log in or switch my account and log in as other user. It is a privilege to the admin account. To the regular user, they are not allowed it to do so. And right after you log into the QDMS extension, again, you can find all the pending tasks and also the request for approval on this particular widget. Right after you log in, and I can open this training process. This is the one that we have just scheduled. And as the trainee, then I can reveal the training material as it is an MP4 file. So I can play the video and I can watch it, which I can also forward and backward in the video, unmute it, for example. And once it is ready, once the trainee, we are ready, then we can take the exam. So the system will take you to this exam page, and you can pick and choose your answer. to the question shows right here. So we can pick and choose the correct answer. So saying right here, I can pick it like and once we completed the exam, then we can submit it. So the system will calculate the score of your exam. And by using QDMS extension, you can also set up the passing score of every single exam that you have for your training operation, like 60 or 80 or 100. If you notice now, I completed my training and my score is 100. In addition, the system also creates a certificate to the trainee. So we can have our template uploaded in QDMS extension, and we can have our certificate to be created based on the completion date, and the system will calculate the expiration date of your certificate automatically as well, along with your username or the trainee name. So it helps us keep tracking the training completion or the progress of our training within our organization. And at last, we can save this, and all the training will be saved in an archive of QDMS extension once it is finished. And now let's get back to the previous page, like logging in as the admin. So as I'm now the admin, so that I can find all the training records that we have performed in our company. And I can generate this report, and all the training records will be shown right here. So let's say starting from the latest, and this is the one that we have just completed. You can tell from the assigned date, which is today. And also we can pull up this particular record and show this on our screen. So we can keep tracking what they have answered, for example, and also the certificate for this particular employee.
Sam, thank you very much for the demonstration. Let me take over the screen, and then we can continue our executive webinar series. Okay, great. So until now, we talk about fundamentals of training management with Alex Kvartorov, and then we talk about QDMS and how to manage training operations digitally with integrated with Acumatica ERP with Sam Watt. Now, let's talk about QDMS on a high level a little bit before our Q&A session. So, as I mentioned briefly earlier, QDMS is a quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. And it helps you manage all your quality management and compliance management operations. We've been developing QDMS since 1998. There are more than 1,000 corporate clients of QDMS using QDMS on a daily basis, and there are more than 1 million professional users of QDMS. As we discussed earlier, QDMS is also Acumatica certified, and it is also included in Acumatica's marketplace, as you see on the screen. Some benefits of QDMS. With the help of QDMS, you can digitize your quality management and compliance management operations. You can automate your quality management system. Also, you can increase customer satisfaction. You can have a continuous improvement in place digitally with the help of QDMS, because it has reminders, notifications, as well as escalations to make sure your tasks and your operations on the quality management side continues. You can easily follow up your assignments as well as your efficiency tests. You can also create a compliance memory with the help of QDMS. Remember, with the help of QDMS, there is no need for paper. As well as you can digitize your records, and you can also increase your productivity. With the help of QDMS, you are ready for audit anytime, because you are using it on daily basis, and you can be audited internally or externally or for certification purposes anytime. There is no need for special preparation with the help of QDMS. Some further information about QDMS. With the help of QDMS, you can comply with ISO 9001, ISO 14001, IATF 16949, AS 9100. If you're in food and beverage industry, you can comply with ISO 22000, SQF, PRC, and many other requirements, quality management systems, as well as compliance requirements digitally with the help of QDMS. QDMS is web-based, meaning you can access from anywhere, wherever you are, with a web browser. Also, it is easy to use, it is user-friendly. Once we train you as quality management team, you can manage the QDMS, and the entire company can use it to manage your quality management operations. QDMS works on laptops, desktops, as well as mobile applications. System, QDMS has advanced integration capabilities, so it integrates with many different systems, ERP systems, CRM systems, manufacturing execution systems, as well as IoT devices such as smart sensors. It also has integration capabilities, especially with Microsoft Office, robotic process automation systems, and it already has a ready-made integration with Acumatica and other systems as well, as I listed on the screen, so that you can have an integrated management system with the help of these advanced integration capabilities. QDMS, in essence, it is vertical free. We've been offering QDMS, deploying QDMS in many different industries, as you see on the screen. So today we focus on training management operations in manufacturing industry. In addition, we have deployed QDMS in aviation, aerospace, construction industry, food and beverage industry, retail industry, and many other industries as well. So it's a very flexible tool. It is actually designed to help you manage your quality management systems digitally, no matter where you are. This is Bimser International's approach to digital transformation. So it has three parts. First part is quality assurance. So with the help of QDMS, you can manage your quality assurance operations. Also with the help of QDMS, you can manage your quality control operations, whether that's in manufacturing or administrative operations. Also with the help of our integrated smart sensor capabilities, you can also manage your quality management operations in a predictive way. Speaking of quality management in a predictive way, we also have ready-made integration with Halo smart sensors, so that you can remotely monitor your air quality, temperature and humidity, noise, vape, and other important values and indicators for you. And then it can automatically trigger work orders as well as actions on QDMS to help you automate your quality management system. QDMS is modular, so that you can pick and choose any module you like. There are more than 30 modules available in the system. And based on what you are compliant with, ISO, IATF, SQF, PRC, good manufacturing practices, and so on, you can pick and choose the modules you like. As some of them my colleague Sam mentioned, especially for the training management. In addition, there are other modules such as control document management, customer complaint management, corrective action, audit, risk management, FMEA, and many other modules available on QDMS. Okay, great. So let's talk about some questions if we have any. So some of the questions are about pricing. So we don't talk about pricing during these executive webinar sessions, but you can send us an email. You can see our contact information on the screen. So if you have any questions regarding pricing, also if you like to schedule a meeting, you can send us an email. You can see my email as Kevin Deveji. Also, Alex's email, Sam's emails are also available on the screen. Sam, as Q&A, can you tell us about the mobile application of QDMS? How is it running? How is it helping?
Oh, yes, sure. So that's a nice question. So QDMS has a mobile application, and it is available for Android and iOS devices. So you can download QDMS or QDMS Extension from the Google Play Store or the App Store for iOS device. And once you install it, you will see the same data set that you can see in the web browser. The reason why, because they are going to and coming from the same database. Meaning once you have a training scheduled, for example, you log in as the trainee, then you can also take the training exam by using your smartphone or tablet. You don't need to sitting behind your desk and log in by using your laptop or desktop. And actually, you can use your handheld device and complete the exam, and then you will get the certification created by the system automatically once you pass.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Sam. Much appreciated. One of the questions is about the module structure. So if there is any minimum or maximum number of modules that they have to have. So there is no minimum or maximum requirement on the system. You can pick and choose any module you like. Before we end our session, Alex, is there anything that you like to share before we end our executive webinar session today?
Well, yes, I just wanted to, as a conclusion, reinforce the fact that how important QDMS is, and I use it as an example. What happened if you don't have all your information stored in a central database? Not only does it, simplify your audit process, okay, but it also helps yourself because it really helps in coming up with a structure within your organization of where all the information is, where all your documents are, or your data is. So I think having a tool like QDMS is a tremendous asset in helping managing your quality management system.
Thank you, Alex, for your remarks. Much appreciated. It's been actually great to learn from you, especially about the fundamentals of training and how companies should be managing training in this digital age. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Before we end our session, some other information that I'd like to share with you. We have successfully delivered Synergize 2021 Annual Virtual Conference this year. It took place on March 16 and 17. We talk about remote work and digital transformation, just like we talked about actually earlier today. We talk about how the remote work environment right now and how it'll be after pandemic. So it'll be a hybrid work environment, and we talk about in detail. There are a lot of videos that we put together for these informative sessions. So you can visit our YouTube channel and you can watch Synergize 2021 sessions on our YouTube channel at your convenience. Also, you are invited for the 2022 Synergize. We are getting ready for next year. It'll take place on March 16. We'll talk about how to automate business processes in this digital age. So you can visit our Eventbrite page and you can register for Synergize 2022 Annual Virtual Summit and Conference of Bimser International. Speaking of our YouTube channel is very active. We have more than 300 videos available. Most of the videos are about digital transformation, manufacturing 4.0, automation, cloud technology, and predictive maintenance management operations. So these are really popular subjects, as we all know it. So you can see many different videos available on our YouTube channel. Please subscribe so that as soon as there is a new video available, you'll be notified. And our Eventbrite page is designed to help you, let you know about our coming events and our conferences. You can see what is coming and you can register and you can join us at our coming executive webinar series. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. We are looking forward to seeing you at our coming webinar sessions. Thank you very much and have a nice day.